Paul de Latour.
Madam Mayor, councillors, thank you for this opportunity to present to you today. I'd just like to introduce Gordon Boxall, who is our trustee to the Akaroa Community Trust. I made the submission on behalf of the Akaroa Community Trust. I am chairman of the fundraising committee. Now, I'd just like to summarise the submission I made in support of the submission. Now, the Akaroa Hospital was destroyed by the earthquake in 2010, 2011. From that, negotiations with the CDHB commenced in 2011, and after a number of potential models, an unconditional agreement was signed with the CDHB in October 2016. The CDHB would build and fund the facility. The community would contribute towards the non-health component, mainly the residential facility, for a fixed price of $2.5 million, plus the community would need to pay for set-up costs estimated at $500,000 to create structures, systems and processes required to run the new integrated health centre. Now, the community has 4 years from date of commencement of construction to raise this contribution. Now, funds raised to date total approximately $900,000. And obviously, one of the other areas that we did look at to get our contribution was to rate. A levy of $110 plus GST per property per year for 4 years would provide a contribution of $1.3 million. The community therefore needs to raise a further $800,000 from other sources to complete the contribution of a total of $3 million if the levy is approved. It is confident that we can achieve this, particularly now there is more certainty about the building going ahead. Now, the context of the rate levy: there are approximately 1,900 people registered as permitted residents in the Akaroa district area. Now, this area is the old Akaroa County area, which a lot of you people remember before amalgamation with Latour, Waiwera and Mount Herbert, and then eventually amalgamation into Christchurch. And these residents have direct access to the facility of medical services provided. Now, in the holiday season, the population is estimated to increase to between 7,000 to 10,000 people. Now, this is very hard to actually get a good figure on this, as there's no real information, but it does swell considerably too between those figures. So while the community is meeting the significant cost of this facility, it recognises that the cost will provide a benefit for tourism and visitors to the area in the holiday season. And these tourists and visitors provide other benefits to the community by their presence. Everyone in the community will benefit from this health facility, and it will be provided because of the geological isolation of Banks Peninsula, particularly in the winter. A service from cradle to grave. The CDHB, Christchurch City Council via the Banks Peninsula Community Board and wider social services all recognise the need for an integrated health centre in Akaroa. And it's right and proper that the community contributes to a facility for the community's benefit. Now, I'll just leave it there, and I know Gordon would like to make a few comments to finish our submission.
Thank you.
Just thought it'd be helpful to have a bit of a progress, because things are happening quite quickly now. For a long time, the community's considered what structure needs to be in place to run the new facility, and also to continue the negotiations with the CDHB and other authorities in the area, because we want this to be really integrated so that it's not just about health, although there's a health focus, but it's about well-being and other services and perhaps social services even as well. So we've the trust's been formed, trustees appointed, and I'm privileged to be one of those trustees. And we're currently, you may have seen in the press recently, we're currently recruiting directors, so there'll be directors in place over the next few weeks. So we can then progress things. We're very confident with our conversations with the CDHB where they're at, and they're now in the process of doing all the planning stuff for the build itself. So there's a real head of steam and people in place now to carry that work forward. The planning's well advanced between trustees and CDHB. It's not just about the building, but it's also about the model of care and how we're going to transition from where we are now with the health service provided on the hospital site. That needs to be transitioned to somewhere else while the build goes on, etc. So we do believe that once resource consents, if everything goes relatively smoothly there, and it should do from the information I've got, then the build should start later this year. We're optimistic, but we think later in 2017. And the trustees and the fundraising committee of the Akaroa Community Trust believes it's in the best interest of the community that such a rate be struck to assist with the fundraising that's required. I mean, it's brilliant work that Paul and the fundraising committee have done and achieved to get us so far. This would give a level of security. I've never been to a council meeting before where I'm asking you to increase my rates, but it feels from conversations that we've had around the community that people understand that this is something that's a good thing. That is I mean, you'll do your own testing, I'm sure, but in the sense of what we know is that people aren't, really opposed to this, that they see this as something that would give some stability. And then I think with the head of steam that this would also provide to get the extra amount, 800,000 or so, we'll be confident that we can do that. And we have 4 years, as Paul said, to pay the District Health Board back for the contribution they're making, which is the sort of non-health component. And the reason for that, the passion for that in the community is because people want to have the choice to remain in Akaroa, not just at the end of their life, but through various stages, so that we can offer some residential services as well as people get older and frailer. And then there will be the hospital level beds as well. So it just gives more choice for people to live and stay within the community with dignity. So thank you for your time. Welcome any questions at all.
Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you, and thank you for the work that you're doing on this project. It's great to see a project with such a valuable contribution from the community, not only in terms of the funds raised, but in terms of the effort that people like yourselves are putting into this project. My question relates to timing. As you'll be aware, the targeted rate proposal would require to be consulted with the community, and we haven't done that as part of this annual plan consultation. Clearly, there are two stages, one of which you need certainty around that proposal, and the other of which where you'd be needing the funds that were raised through it. What timings are you working to there? When would you need a decision as to whether this targeted rate was able to go ahead or not, and when would you want to see the first financial contribution as a result of it?
Thank you. Well, there's we realise there's a due process, and in a sense, it would have been, if we were here a year ago, that would have been better, because then you could have, ideally from this year would be the ideal. If that's not possible, not practical, because of the due processes, what we have is a confidence that we've got the backup from the community and the commitment of the DHB. So if there's a need, if we need to slip a bit of time, we believe we can, because the DHB are fronting the vast majority of this, and the community has already raised funds, some of which is available for some of the working capital that we're going to need as we go through the coming months. So The only response I think I can make is that if it's as soon as is practicable, given the due process that you have to go through, we believe we've got the confidence of the community and the sort of leverage with the DHB to be able to time things if we need to in terms of any delays, because we're also starting those negotiations with the DHB, and that's that was always going to be the main commitment. The main barrier was the DHB coming up with the capital to fund it in the first place. We believe we're through that critical phase. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's much appreciated. Again, it's a community that's done a lot of work and seeking an additional amount of support in a different sort of way. So really appreciate your submission this morning. Thank you for coming over.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.